All right, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, people from all over. Karibuni sana. I'm your host, Jix, the moderator. Wes nimewahata sana wadau, but thank you for being part of this great show that always happens here at Kenya News Link. Hapa tunao show moja fiti, show ambayo huwa inakujia kila siku mida ya asubuhi na mida ya jioni. Hapo pole, leo tumeanza kuchelewa na pia tumepotea kwa kipindi kidogo, but now we are back. We had some things we had to take care of kwa sababu yako wewe mtazamaji wetu. Thank you so much. Thank you for being part of this show. We now have another great debate about to happen and ensue here at Kenya News Link. Wakaribisha wawili watatu pia kwa kulike hii video na kwa kusubscribe to Kenya News Link. Ndio tu tumeanza show kali, show fiti ambayo imeanza saizi na pia tutakuwa na nyingine leo jioni mida ya saa 4. So utafanya nini ili uweze kujuzwa mida tu inapoanza? Una subscribe to Kenya News Link. Tunao show moja fiti, tunao show moja kali. Karibu sana. Wajuze wawili watatu kwa kubonyeza like na pia kwa kubonyeza subscribe. Subscribe to this video, subscribe to this YouTube channel. This is Kenya News Link. Serikali tulioichagua, wengi ambao walikampenia, wengi ambao walijituma, wengi ambao walijituma kwingi kwa kusema UDA kazi ni kazi, UDA bottom up. I remember ile wakati ilikuwa ni kusema na kutenda, ilikuwa ni pesa mfukoni, ilikuwa ni hasla atawale, lakini baada ya hasla kushika mamlaka, nakwambia watu washaanza kuumia, watu washaanza, walioipigia debe, walioipigia upatu ndio wamekuwa wa kwanza kushikwa na na serikali ambao wanasemanga inakuwa na mkono mrefu. Sasa inashika waliomo na wasiokuwemo, walioipigia debe na wale ambao hawakuipigia debe. Margaret Wanjiru walifanywa ile kitu, picha zimeenea huko mtandaoni, na hizo ndio vitu tutakuwa tuna discuss kwa hii show among many other things. Watu ambao walisupport hii serikali ndio wamekuwa kwanza kuumia, ndio wamekuwa kwanza kutetwa. Wamesema hey, heri hata tungeichagua. They have been complaining here left and right and center. That's what we'll be looking at here at Kenya News Link. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you are doing fine. Thank you for being part of this great show. We have a great show lined up for you. I have great guys coming up so that we can discuss this interesting debate, because this is a government eating its own. This is a government eating the people that worked tooth and nail so as to bring it into power. I saw Margaret Wanjiru complaining of how she really worked very hard to bring this government, or rather to campaign for William Ruto, and President Wanza ameshika hatamu. She has fallen victim. I remember one time the president attended a function in her church to be able to, contribute for the building that she was building, the Twin Towers that she was trying to construct. And the president donated then. By then, alikuwa just the DP, alikuwa a candidate. But now he's the sitting president. But walai, I'm telling you, I'm equally joined by my friend and a good brother and colleague, one Alex, Kenya News Link. Karibu sana bwana Alex, karibu kwa hii show. Na kuambia it's a government eating its own people. Welcome so much, sir. What do you make of the latest development? Margaret alisaidia sana pakubwa kukampenia serikali, kuifanya iwe katika mahali ilipo. Alipeana hadi kanisa lake kakuwa mahali ambapo walifanya recruitment of UDA members. Lakini punde tu baada ya kuwa na watu katika UDA na pia UDA kuwa katika serikali, jana amefanya ila kitu. We will be equally talking of MPs who are now complaining after a bill they already passed. Now they are going to the streets complaining, yet wao ndo walipitisha, lakini wanaanza kuteta. Tunaona vitu mingi zimehappen katika UDA. Those are the things we'll be looking at, and we'll be asking ourselves, this is the government eating its own people ama vipi? All right, karibu sana, subscribe to Kenya News Link. Wacha tuwe na show moja fiti. All right, yes bwana Alex, habari ya leo?
Salama sana ndugu yangu, siku nyingi.
All right, I hope wewe haujafanywa ile kitu kama Bishop Margaret Wanjiru.
Haiwezi nipata kwa sababu mimi ni mtu wa Azimio, nilikuwa Azimio, nilizaliwa Azimio, Azimio.
Mhm.
hivyo hivyo tu.
All right. So, what do you make of what happened yesterday? Because Bishop Margaret Wanjiru was quite vocal in campaigning for one William Ruto. At one point, she wanted to be the governor. Later on, she was to be a senator. Later on, kukaenda visivyo, and as fate would have it, she didn't get any other thing apart from just being an ardent supporter of UDA and this Kenya Kwanza government. And unfortunately, yesterday, police, as she described them, DCI and other um, senior guys in the police force went to destroy her property in a matter or in a tussle that was like government eating its own supporters. What do you make of it?
It is one James Agri Orengo, couple of years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Revolution
Mm-hmm.
eats their own children. And
Mm-hmm.
that is a saying that will stay in Kenya for years to come. And
Mm-hmm.
ni kama hii Mandaga alituambia usiweke siasa katika wapi.
Mm-hmm.
Mandaga atuambia usiweke
Kwa
siasa,
lungs.
alafu
Kwa
akasema
heart.
kohoa inatoka. Na
Mm-hmm.
unajua the last few weeks mimi nimekuwa
Mm-hmm.
nikifurahi sana na William Samoei Ruto. Huyu
Mm-hmm.
jamaa mimi sikuwa nampenda, lakini sasa inafika mahali nampenda sana, kwa sababu maendeleo inaenda
Mm-hmm.
tu wenye maendeleo haiendi
Mm-hmm.
kwa tugege. Ukiangalia juzi,
Mm-hmm.
ukiangalia hii maneno vile ilianza,
Mm-hmm. Uh-huh.
William has some brains that people do not know. Alimtoa CS
Mm-hmm.
Wahome kutoka mahali alikuwa akamweka kwa lands. Juzi
Mm-hmm.
akampea mamlaka kuwa iko shida katika siasa ya Kenya na watu wako na mashamba ambayo si like legitimate, lazima hao watu
Mm-hmm.
wanyang'anywe mashamba. So
Mm-hmm.
lakini ukumbuke kuwa Koril yuko kule, the former minister, the former Lang'ata MP. So
Mm-hmm.
ukiangalia vizuri, Koril identified the people that were going to be targeted in Nairobi before he
Mm-hmm.
moved out of the land ministry. Sasa wameweka Wahome.
Mm-hmm.
Walipojua ni Wakikuyu wengi ambao
Mm-hmm.
watachukua mashamba zao kwanza, wakaweka Wahome kule. So shida sasa iko ni
Mm-hmm.
Wakikuyu wanapigana na Wakikuyu wenzao. So kwa sasa hivi huwezi
Mm-hmm.
sema kuwa ni William Samoei Ruto. The order comes
Mm-hmm.
from the minimum. Sasa William
Mm-hmm.
anacheza watu akili sana. William anacheza
All
watu
right.
akili sana. And he's succeeding in doing so.
Mm-hmm.
And
Okay.
and what you see is revolution eats their own children. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And let me tell you
Mm-hmm.
where that starts. It is widely circulated that the essay, the adage, revolution eats their own children, started by a person that was called Recherchist, William Pitts. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And William Pitts was a Russian,
Mm-hmm.
but he knew French.
Yeah, yeah.
And he
Uh-huh.
said, Exemple de Satan, la révolution, divorce et fantet. Revolution devours its own children. And you
Mm-hmm.
must come into terms that in politics, don't be a fanatic. Be
Mm-hmm.
balanced. Understand that
Mm-hmm.
there is a limit. Don't think the fact that you campaigned
Mm-hmm.
for this person, you're going to get a share of it.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, you're the one who is going to be fought most.
Uh-huh.
So niachie hapo tuendelee.
Margaret Wanjiru at one point alitumia kanisa yake as a place where campaigns would go on, or rather recruitment of new members would go on, and it was interesting that she kind of, as she was saying yesterday, she kind of brought Nairobi to UDA or UDA to Nairobi. She was very, very active. You know, she's one person who can be told or can be said of her that she gave it all. She gave it her best. She wanted the governor seat. Unfortunately, fate would have it that Sakaja would be the one to go for it, and eventually ikafika mahali ikabidi sasa yeye mwenyewe a relax tu kwa kiti ya Senate. Unfortunately, Sifuna akamfanya ile kitu. Of course, it wasn't easy for her to accept to step down for Sakaja. I remember during some of the campaigns, ilikuwa tug of war between her and one Sakaja. Eventually, she settled for the Senate seat. But now, later on, William Ruto tried to nominate her for the CAS position, which was declared unconstitutional, null and void. So amekuwa tuko behind the tent until yesterday, where we saw her coming out in tears, crying, lamenting, garnishing her teeth that, you know what, kuna watu wanataka kubomoa kanisa lake, claiming that limejengwa katika uwanja wa Lerwes. What do you make of it? Is it something planned? Because hizi stories za mashamba sasa zimeanza kuwa interesting, with CS Wahome, as you rightfully said, being in charge of the same. What do you make of all these new changes? Is it by design? Is it to create any form of pain to anyone?
Let's be honest here. Kenya has a big problem of land issue. The Ndungu report, the Ndungu Commission was never implemented. And we did focus on the big shots. And we never focused on the little people that, the omena, not the mbota, that have accumulated wealth in a foggy or in a funny way. And the problem with that now, you have to start from there so that you can go up, because now we are dealing with bottom ups. Yeah, now that's the real implementation of our bottom up. Okay. Hatutaanza na Moi na Kenyatta na mwingine. We are dealing with bottom up. And this is what we wanted the bottom up to know, that ikikuja kwa maendeleo tunaanza kutoka chini tunaenda juu, ikikuja kwa mashamba tunatoka chini tunaenda juu, ikikuja kwa anything it will start down by going up, ikikuja kwa taxes tunaanza chini tunaenda juu. And now it is really eating these people. Now the insidious thing that Margaret Wanjiru is saying here, and she's lying to us, is that she campaigned for Kenya Kwanza. This woman did not have a place to go. She had no place to go totally and completely, because she betrayed Baba. In fact, she became an MP not because she was popular, courtesy of Baba. You remember that? And let's be very honest. Her son also became an MP courtesy of Baba. They both betrayed Baba. Now they were hiding in UDA. So for her to come and lie to us that she really campaigned for UDA, that's a fallacy. Let her go to the nearest hell and jump. Awache kudanganya watu. Secondly, she has used the church in a wrong way. In fact, some of the people who have used the church in a wrong way more than Ole Sapit is Margaret Wanjiru. Okay? So for her to do that is also a fallacy and a funny thing, and she should stop. Thirdly, this land that she acquired through dubious ways. For years she has been there. Nobody had touched it. But now that we need, since that we have implemented and our MPs have accepted the housing levy, we must find land to build the housing, the affordable housing. Why should we go far away and then there's a land there that has been taken from railways? This thing called psychophancy has a limit and has a price to pay. When we sat down and we wanted to put this country in order, people refused. And now so many people are cornered. Why? Because nobody imagined that Ruto and Raila could work at one time together. It is eating people to a point that it has really dissolved what is called partnership within UDA and ODM and Azimio. Martha Karua is not being seen anymore. She's alone. And now the people in UDA who are thriving because of their attacks to Raila, it's no longer working. Okay? Now Raila said, okay, Ruto, okay, if you want us to work together, let us do things right. If you want to build the houses, let us not tusivunje manyumba sio Kimau na pengine. Iko watu hapa mabamwenyenye wako na malanda ambayo walifanya nini? Waliiba. Now, things are being done right. In as much as I did not vote for this man called William Samoei Ruto, I support him when he's taking land kama hiyo ya Margaret Wanjiru, na kesho baadaye atachukua ya Kingi, baadaye atachukua ya Joho, itakuwa both aisles. I will support him. Asivunje nyumba za watu ambao walinunua land lakini hawakujua ni ya government.
Okay.
So my take on that is this. Nobody is being hurt here. Kwani hiyo kanisa ni Jerusalem? Nobody is being hurt here. Let her go buy a legit land and build on it. I'm not hurt. The government is not hurt. Mwananchi is not hurt. Hata akipeleka hospitali anasema akona high blood pressure. At least akona pesa, anaenda wapi? Private hospital. Nyanya zetu na babu zetu wakikuwa wagonjwa wanaenda wapi? So my take is that since it has started on Margaret Wanjiru, let us see it go to be what? Let us see it go to other people that have stolen land, to Kidero and others, and we deal with it. Kama nyumba zitajengwa, zikuwe built not on what kubomolewa nyumba, okay? On the people who have public land, and they thought that this day will not come. But hii maneno ya kutudanganya kuwa alikampenia UDA aende mbali, wache na sisi.
But let me ask you, whether she campaigned for UDA or not, should the fact that one supports a government be an excuse to evade justice? Because the same thing that people say, I have someone I can call, I have a godfather, I have I have someone in some places I should call, or I can call to evade justice. Is it something that she should even brag about?
Jakes, let me tell you, that was the dilemma we faced first when this government came into governance. We saw people get away with cases, and we were really pissed off, from Didmas Baraza to Aisha Juma and the rest. However, he's come to understand that's not how governance inafanya kazi. Because there's a conflict between the judiciary and what? And the executive. And now it's carving its way to the legislature. Now he has come to realize that this country, in as much as you may think, it's Mutahi Ngunyu who said, yesterday we were campaigning, today we voted, tomorrow we are going to do what? We are going to rule. So it doesn't matter who is the president now. Okay? What matters if he's doing the right thing? You understand me, Jack? So the only reason we are against Ruto when he does wrong things. But if Ruto decides to do the right thing, so some of these people carved their way by presuming that they can do wrong things and they can get away with it. Who tells you since you campaigned for Kenya Kwanza, you can hold land that is what? Is public and you can get away from it? It's not formidable in that way. So Margaret should understand this. You must consciously campaign for some people, not foolishly. And that is the politics that we want. And it must be effective. Isikuwe leo Cherengai alikampenia Ruto, now just because of that, they get away of stupidity. We saw for the first time, Kindiki now go to Kisii, try to bring sanity because of what Osoro did. Okay? And let that be done. It doesn't matter if you are in the rooftop campaigning for the president. If you are wrong, you're wrong. If you're right, you're right. So if Raila is right, let him work with the president. If Osoro and Margaret Wanjiru, they are wrong. Let them go to the nearest cell and jump. We can't
Now,
be
when you look
here.
at
Go ahead.
When you look at the development of all this, it's interesting that when it was happening during Uhuru's time, they really said Uhuru is targeting the poor. And they would really come out and say, oh, this government is anti-poor, it's destroying people's land, or rather grabbing people's land, destroying their property. What would be the definition of what they're doing now? I'm not saying that Margaret is poor, but it's the same thing that was happening then. We saw the Waititos of those days being their land that were termed to be on riparian land, being repossessed and all that. What do you make of this, where now the government is going for land perceived to be on public property, people have constructed or have either grabbed or has erected structures on land that probably has some challenges? And you also remember that some of these lands, their cases are still in court. So what do you make of this now happening when this regime, when it was Tanga Tanga, then they would complain of it being a target of a government?
And that is where Raila fails. When he's in the opposition, he does not take the advantage of being an opposition leader. Opposition, you are capable of recanting and criticizing the government. So Ruto understood that he must act like the opposition leader and criticize the government of the day and make sure that he takes the advantages of some of the issues that Uhuru did wrong or right. So being in the opposition is an advantage in many ways. You are capable of criticizing the government. Okay. So, but when you come to governance, now the chicken come home to roost. Okay. After all, in 4 years, you need to show the country where you are and what you have done. There is no excuse anymore. And you have heard from the clergy, from the politician, from the civil society that Ruto should stop campaigning and do his work. Now that he's doing his work, now he's being criticized. So where do you want him to stand? Kwa magari juu akicampaign ama aanze kufanya kazi ambayo iliyoendekana? So I think wacha Ruto afanye kazi na hii kazi, wacha nikwambie, na hii kazi and let me not miss my words, atafanyisha Wakikuyu. Mashamba zitachukuliwa ni za Wakikuyu. This guy sat on top of the microphone na akasema sisi hakuna jamii ambayo haina shida, iko na shida na Wakikuyu kama sisi. Lakini kuna wakati unaweka siasa kando, unapata uongozi, ukishapata kuongozi and then you deal with those issues. You know, people, this young born free generation, people who are born in when Moi went out of power, do not understand how that statement came about. Even you may not understand why he said that statement. But if you look at the historicity of that statement, it is deep. It is anchored in land issues. It is not anchored anywhere. It's anchored in land issues. And if there is anything, there is a time Ruto gave a speech in his dialect and said this: Wakikuyu wamepiga kambi Nairobi, Wajaluo hata hao wamepiga kambi Nairobi, Starehe, Mathare, Lang'ata, iko mahali wanajulikana hawa ni Wajaluo. Wakale hawajaweka anywhere. Musiende tu kule mkunywe pombe, mnapeleka pesa Nairobi, mnapeleka kwa ba. Hata sisi tutaweka kambi kule. To the truth, Sakaja is not a Luya, is a Kalenjin. Ameweka kambi yake kubwa kule Nairobi. Na hapo sasa ndipo utakuja kujua kuwa siasa ya William Samoei Ruto, it is what Moi denied him to do. If you remember when he was assistant minister for security, internal security, Moi denied him doing one thing, taking the shambas from the the Kikuyus. It is going to be difficult, and that is why I tell you, in the wisdom of Kikuyus, they must gang together right now and understand nobody is going to be left secure. They must, if there was a time the Gema community must unite, it is now. And I'm telling them for free. It is a subtle narrative that is going to pave way, and they are going to cry. Revolution eats their own children. You have seen now Gachagua reconciling with Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. You have seen people like Kuria understanding where we are heading to. The narrative ya Korir, the narrative ya Chirchir, the narrative ya Murkomen is pure. Eliminate the Kuyus. Society. Yes.
Now, think about it. At one point, the regime that was there for Uhuru Kenyatta tried to do the same thing. Actually, there's almost nothing different what this government is doing from what Uhuru was doing. If it is repossessing land, it was doing the same. But when Uhuru was doing it, he was told he's targeting the poor, and everyone was complaining about that. Now that Ruto is doing, I don't know what we should really say, because I think I had asked you this, because um, Margaret Wanjiru she's no exception, all right? The land, whether she acquired genuinely or not, she's not exceptional. In any case, the government is doing what any other government has been doing over the years. But there is an issue that she raised, that there's a court case ongoing concerning the land. Is it proper for any regime to go out of its way to overlook a court process and just go into a premises, demolish structures simply because it can, or it's wise to always wait for the court process, which again the president seems not to agree with at times, saying that some of these court cases are mad by corruption, and the rulings at times are not in the favor of this regime or in any government. So what should be the best practice when it comes to reprocessing land thought to be part of public property that has either landed in people wrongly or in ways that are scrupulous? What should be the right process?
Yes. Let's be very honest here. Our courts are very redundant. And when you're a president, you come to realize that, and that is what William Samoei tried to do in the beginning and found it very difficult now where we are. He wanted to swallow the judiciary so that his key projects might pass through, because there are signature projects a president has in his first term. And then the second term, Idikukula too, and making sure that you have enough for your retirement. And William Samoei Ruto, when he came to power, he bribed the judiciary, okay, and thought it was, oh, it's going to go like that. At some point, the judiciary became irrelevant, and nobody was going to court anymore. The opposition wasn't. Why? Because the minority. Because we realized that our courts are not working. Now, William Samoei Ruto has come to understand one thing. When you are in government and you want to do some things, you have to use your thorax. Upembelezani vitu zingine. And that is why Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta had to ignore court orders and deal with issues the way he had to do, at least to do some things that we saw happen in that country. And Ruto is coming to understand that he must work with Raila, ignore the courts, so that the only person who can oppose him totally to a point where that he can't do anything is Raila. And he understands it. Why? Because of the influence that he has. So when convection of wisdom allowed Uhuru to do that, people did not understand what governance is. Governance is not about the power that you have. It's the goodwill of the people too. Okay? And that goodwill of the people, it's nurtured in leadership. So you must understand who to work with, who not to work with. For instance, right now, if he decides to work with Kalonzo, what interest does Kalonzo have? I may understand people like Mudavadi are dead bodies. They are nothing. Wetangula is nothing. So in the end of the day, the person that opposes him and puts that country in a trajectory that is in a dilemma for him is Raila Amolo Odinga. Now he's working with him. Now he's borrowing a bit from Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta so that he has some, because let me tell you, Jex, hakuna kitu Ruto anaweza fanya huko if Raila decides to disturb him and become a real opposition leader. Now he's coming to a realization that no, this man is putting me on a havoc whereby I every day have to go to campaigning sitting in the office. This is not what I should do. Now, what I ought to do is that start working with him, but at the same time, now deal with real issues that can make Kenya happy. On land, this is a uniting factor. Hakuna mtu anaonea Margaret Wanjiru leo huruma. In fact, we are all happy, we are laughing. Unaelewa? For her to come and tell us that she campaigned for William Samoei Ruto, it even makes us even more happier. What she doesn't know. Nobody's going to be here, including the congregants who are going to that church. In fact, they are even happy. Hakuna sadaka watalipa for the next few months kabla church ijapatwa mahali wanaenda. So when Uhuru told them that, look, this issue of governance as a president, watu wanalia, na mimi niko hapa, there's nothing I can do. Let me work with Raila and do something for the people of Kenya. People did not understand that conviction of wisdom. Now that Ruto is doing the same people who are complaining that, oh, mulikuja mkachukua rais wetu alikuwa mzuri, the Gachagua narrative, the myopic narrative. I'm telling you, when the fisherman meets the cattle rustlers, this country will go on well. The same way when the lake meant the mountain. Now you understand what I'm talking. It was the lake and the mountain, natural features. And now these activities, fishermen and cattle rustlers, people should not complain. Period.
All right, I see many liking the video. I see Willy Dimo amelike hii video, asante sana. Sina fuliza, asante. Sina hata fuliza, wacha tu. Jamaa anajiita hivyo, amelike hii video, asante sana. Bernard Wanduthi, Bernard Nduthu, not Nduthi, we sawa. Mokami Ntwiga amelike hii video, asante sana. George Wangui, I see you. Francis Musioka, I see you. Okwame Kefa, I see you. Or this Marshall, I see you. And many of you who are watching us and equally subscribing to Kenya News Link. Hii ni channel moja fiti kwa hapo YouTube na pia kwa hapo Facebook. Subscribe and follow us for such great content. Here unapata burudani kama hii na nyingine nyingi. Ukiingia tu una subscribe na unakuwa part of this great family. Asante sana kwa kusubscribe kwa Mtembei TV, but equally kindly subscribe to Kenya News Link. Now, Bwana Alex, when you look at all this that is happening, at one point we almost believed freedom was coming. You remember when we were campaigning, we said freedom is here, but it's same old. There's no freedom. It's not freedom really. We just changed the people at the top, but we didn't change the policies, the way of doing things at the top. Really, was this freedom?
You see, politics, per definition, is the fight for power. If people really understood what politics is not change.
Yes.
It is the fight for power. So there are people who are fighting for power to enhance their narrative. And when you look at the politicians, you must define them who they are through their historicity, not what they say. So people bought what people said and they ignored what they are. This nonsensical waffling called bottom up, hustlers, was never really in line. So those who believed were Mamba Mboga and those who believed they were hustlers, they were excited. There is nothing as stupid as being excited. And in every time, emotions and feelings are always pitched to error. Let me repeat it. Emotions and feelings are always pitched to error. So when they bought the error, they must suffer the consequences of the erroneous voting. And that's why some of us are happy. It has not affected my standard of living. It has not affected my children. It has not affected my school fees. It has not affected anything per se to me. But those who are bottom and bought the narrative that was lies, it has affected them in every perspective in life. The problem is this, yes, they are not learning. Come 2027, they will make the same mistake. And that is why, for me, if I have to go to politics, I will never tell somebody the truth. I will be so mendacious. Because if you say the truth, you will not be elected. People love dishonesty. People buy dishonesty. People circulate dishonesty. In social media, it's dishonesty that prevails. If you look at our social media this week alone, Nyako sijui alionyesha nunu yake, Willy Paul sijui ameshikwa. I mean, you see the things that are prevailing in social media. It's dishonesty that is prevailing. Nothing good. Nothing good. Nothing totally good like Jakes akona kipindi hapa. We are discussing about our country. Look how many people we are here. But just go to Nyako right now in our TikTok. You'll find about 4,000 people. People buy dishonesty. People do not buy honesty. We are now talking about development of our country. We are right now talking about what? The progression of our country. But people will come and go. Wakifika kwa Nyako, ako there, they will stay there comfortably. And then you wonder, what's wrong with our people? They don't talk development. So let them eat what they want. If they can't stand to sit down and talk about the standard of living, let the standard of living continue to grow.
Okay, interesting. Now, at one point we thought that President William Ruto was the hope for the downtrodden. We called him mtu wa kuuza mayai, tulimuita mtu ambaye anaelewa shida za yule ako chini. But it seems yule ako chini ndio ana complain sana hata kuliko yule ako juu. In any case, ule ako juu kwanza ni kama amepause ama anasikiza tu because ilikuwa ni serikali ya mama mboga, ilikuwa serikali ya kuanzia kule chini. The actions of late, do they showcase a government interested with mwananchi kule chini or just interested with continuing the status that was?
Very good question. Mtu ako chini ajui what the stock market means. Mtu ako chini ajui kitu inaitwa inflation. Mtu ako chini ajui the currency ya dollar to shilling, what it means. If you look at what they just did, for instance, they devaluated our shilling so down, dollar ikaenda juu. So they are buying dollars right now na itaenda juu, and they are going to make money. Just like that. From 160 to 139, na imeanza kuendelea tena kwenda juu polepole, now it's 149. What will happen, unajua? Very soon itafika tena, and then they are going to sell their dollars, and within 6 months they are going to make money. I'm telling you, there is a language called upper class, ambayo hata Raila hako, Uhuru yuko, Mudavadi yuko, Linturi yuko, but they only understand it's a billionaire language. So when you start the narrative, what we thought, only the foolish thought that way. Only the foolish thought that way. You ask real people who understand the way the economy runs? No. There was not going to be a change of anything. It was going to be a change of the people that are going to govern our country. And you look at today, did you really, let me ask you, Jake, and I want you to be very honest. In your right mind, did you expect Ruto to change this country?
Anyone can do anything. Anyone can do anything. My issue is, go on.
Oh, people just had that, and one thing that I was mad in the initially, that now I thank Koome for telling us, is something called hot air. When she uttered that word, I was very pissed. But now the people in the bottom up narrative believed in hot air. And it is not something that can change a country. If you look today, Madam Suluhu has tried to change the way Tanzania is working. If you look today, Mnangamawa of Zimbabwe has changed the narrative of fertilizer, farming, and everything in that country after Mugabe messed it up. Ibrahim Traore has changed the narrative of what? That country, that he did a revolution and took it on. What has really, how about Kenya? We are going to Europe making noise. We are calling ourselves Pan-Africanists. But when we look at the agenda that is really governing this country today, it is the Western passe narrative. So whatever we believe, and you know, we have been a target of the Western for a very long time, and you must understand this. Don't expect Kenya to change any soon. When you see the king and queens of England keep on coming to our country, it's because there is a lot they are benefiting from this country. And to get those people who are governing this country, you see Bill Gates coming here, ati ni Makueni anaenda. Unafikiria amekuja kufanya nini? Oprah Winfrey ati amekuja hapa, amekuja kufanya nini? We must be very careful about, intentionally careful about how this country is being handled by the billionaires and the movers, shakers of this world. We live in that country, but we do not own that country. It's like we are the foreigners, other people are the what? Inhabitants. So Ruto coming to power initially was the European agenda, and it's being fulfilled today, Mr. Jackson. And you must be careful when you believe that that country belongs to Kenyans. We don't. Even the voting machines that we are using do not even belong to us. Chebukati told us the servers are where? In German. Why should we have our servers in German? So, Jackson, unless we reclaim what we fought for during Uhuru, unless we read the book of Jaramogi Oginga Odinga saying, not yet Uhuru, we may not understand the nitty-gritty of how we were prevailed over. Yes.
Now, when it came to this regime, one of the things that was so loud when they were campaigning is that they will not do what the previous regime was doing. They will not evict people unannounced. They will not demolish houses as the previous regime. But somehow, that has begun. What has changed? Or really, was it even truly something they believed in? Or they were just saying it to appease the masses? Now that they're in office, they just have to follow how things are normally done. Eviction is always there, demolition is always there. People crying because of land they worked sweat and tears to acquire, only for it to be taken through few hours and land has been acquired, repossessed back to neither the government or the county. So what happened to War Memorial Hospital here in Nakuru? We saw people who have been losing land almost on a daily basis. There's a story about land. Either the CS is saying this kind of land should come back to the ministry or should go back to certain people. We have seen people in Mavokos, their houses being destroyed. As much as people earlier were warned about some of this land, but this regime promised not to demolish without either compensating or relooking at the issue properly before going into people's land, houses, bringing them down without proper and clear guidance on how to go about it, even defying court orders. What happened to that promise? Is it because it wasn't truly a promise that they were willing to keep, or it's because it's something they were saying because it was happening then? Mwananchi was scared, Mwananchi was hurt, Mwananchi was aggrieved by the previous regime. So they used the pain, they used the grievances that Mwananchi was going through so as to come to power. And once now they are in power, Mwananchi is only a second class citizen. What do you make of those promises and the actions that followed thereafter?
There is a gap between campaign
Mhm,
and leadership.
mhm.
And if you've been a strategist, of which I become at some point, especially in Kisii County, you run a narrative that people want to hear in order to take the
Okay.
leadership.
Mhm,
And that narrative must be so swift that must be believed. And the people buy it. And once they buy it, they stick to it. But when it comes now to leadership, now, when you get to leadership, you find that what you promised is not attainable.
mhm,
And you keep shifting the goalpost
mhm,
nearer to the opposition, the person that
mhm,
campaigned against. Look everywhere.
mhm,
I'll tell you today in the US. In the US today, we were against Donald Trump, the border thing, the build the wall. And Biden has allowed so many Mexicans to come to this country that in New York today and Illinois, if you go there, it's impossible to find a motel to sleep in because now the government must start renting motels for these people to live because it's winter time. They cannot die outside. Now, what
mhm,
has Biden decided to do? To build the wall, to stop the immigrants coming, and he's having conflicts with the Hispanic community, and he's losing the elections because of that.
mhm, mhm,
So Ruto came in as a pro what, pro what, pro what. But you look at today, he's pro what he was not pro. He's anti what he was for. Look at the counties that are developing today more than any counties in the country. Homa Bay is number one. Did Ruto campaign in Homa Bay? No. Was Ruto voted in Homa Bay? No. But the beneficiary are what? Homa Bayers. That is when the reality meets the politics meets the reality. Now, if you look
all
generally,
right.
Ruto is going to end up doing the things that he said he was not going to do. And the things that he said he's going to do, he's not going to do them. And that is going to affect two communities. And in history, you must understand, if you go to Kabarak, if you go to Sugoi, if you go to Chaweri today, people are very poor. As if presidency brings something more important to your community. It does not. People must wake up from that deep slumber and understand that presidency is bigger and larger than what you know. It is the president of Syria, Assad, who said that what Americans are telling me to implement in Syria, I'm just a figurehead called the president, but there's something called the presidency. I cannot prevail over the presidency. There is the military, there is what and what, there is what and what. But when you look at generally, I'm just a figurehead. People think that I'm powerful. I'm not that powerful. I fear the military. I fear the security. I fear this and this. So Ruto today is working on what the security is telling him. This is unpopular. This is unpopular. This one will take you out of power. So he's playing a balance. So let us not claim that Ruto said this and think that was what it was today. Uhuru at one point said, nitakuwa na maadui wengi ambao walikuwa ni marafiki zangu. Na maadui wangu wengi watakuwa marafiki zangu pia. And that is what is happening. Who knew Gladys Wanga and Ruto could be walking and laughing the way they are laughing, as if they never graduated from primary school? Nobody. Who knew Margaret Wanjiru today will be having crying the way she campaigned? Many examples we can give today. Yes.
Now, Margaret Wanjiru she's not alone. We have many who have joined in the cry. We have had MPs who passed the financial bill come out to complain about the taxes that are being implemented and KRA harassing farmers and all that. This is the bill they all unanimously agreed to pass. They supported this the bill, only for them to come out and say we don't want this. My question to you, I ask you, were they blind? Were they dumb? Were they deaf? Can they read? Are they illiterate? Or are they just voting machine? How do you pass something and then oppose it barely 48 hours later or a few hours later on? It's like signing a document and then you act silly about it. What do you make of MPs who are now complaining about the finance bill, something they supported? If it was Wamoshomba, we might say this, she opposed it. But these are people, for example, Eliud, is it Eliud Muirure or Muiru of, yes, of Moranga, who came out to strongly oppose the implementation of what he supported passing. What kind of thing do they take us to be? I don't want to use the word fool, but what do they take us to be? Because they passed it only to come to complain to us at funerals, at harambes. There is where they come to complain. But in parliament, where they're supposed to do their work, they don't do it. What kind of leadership do we even have, really?
Two things that have changed the narrative of politics today.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The AU seat has just concocted people. It has brought divisiveness that you cannot hold.
Mm-hmm.
Just Baba declaring the AU seat has confused people.
Mm-hmm.
Totally. Mount Kenya does not know what to do. And the mountainers, some of them are happy, some of them are crying. No, it was a laughing thing the other day when I saw Gachagua saying he does not support the finance bill anymore. You know, you know, there are times you sit as an individual and you just have good time politically, even if financially you are going through problems because of the political gymnastics that are going. And I'm glad one of the mountainers here who is happy about Baba going to AU is here because the chicken has come home to roost. You understand that? The other thing that I changed the politics is after the AU seat, there's a truce between Ruto and Raila. That I foresaid it long time ago, and I was castigated with my best friends to a point that our relationship with some people went sour totally, completely. Because when you have insight, you have foresight. If you don't have insight, you can never have foresight. I told them, there is a pact here that I've been signed. We really don't want this pact, but this pact is there, in as much as we may refuse it. Now, where are we then with this pact? People refuse to hear our cry. We could have refused. Even this AU seat, we would not have gone there. It is just the infallibility, political infallibility that Baba is always right. We let Baba go through all these two things, the handshake and the AU seat. It's because we believe Baba is always right. Some of us reached a place we said, let's criticize this man. We love him, but we have to. But we let, now where we are. Now, the politics of the mountain, the finance bill, is changing because some people believe of shareholders being a shareholder, which was not going to work in this country. Because once, for instance, the court declared the other day that some of the institutions in this country are homogeneous. They are binary in nature, that only two communities are leading them. And if you see that trajectory come in, you must understand that we must recant ourselves and understand Ruto is working behind the way. He wants to bring more this, more this, more this, more this. In doing so that he can face off the Kikuyu slow but steady. And he's going to succeed in doing that. So this issue of shareholdership that some people believed totally, like Muirui Uyo wa Murang, it's not going to work. It can't work. It will never work. It has been tried before in vain. So
all right.
there are people, let me finish this. There are people who believe in the hatred and indoctrination that they have been given over years, that Luos are this, Luo are this, Luo are this. So they want the politics of Kenya to be centered upon hating the Luos. It can't be when you're a president. That's when you realize that some technocrats in that country, the people that are your own doctors, the engineers that are going to do your housing levy, are Luos. That's when you start understanding that you just can't work with two communities. Tell me one of the most famous architecture in Kenya who is a Kalenjin. I can only give you a Kikuyu and a Luo. So Ruto is understanding politics now in a different way. He's disappointing the people that he promised heaven, a utopia. Now he's giving them a dystopia. Let me leave it there. I see my good friend here, SG. And I really respect his opinion, especially the mountain is crying right now.
Alright, G, karibu sana kwa show. Equally wewe ambaye unatazama, Josephine Opondi, I see you. Ibrahim Chwea, I see you. Koskei Philip, I see you. Ipo Siku, I see you. Among many ambao wana participate hapo kwa comment section, na wengi pia ambao wana like hii video na kwa kusubscribe pia kwa Kenya News Link. Bwana SG, habari ya leo. What do you make of Bishop Wanjiru's land being repossessed back, and tukaona akifanya ile kitu na kidogo kidogo tukamwona ametumwa picha za, amepigwa picha akiwa hospitalini Now what is trending is the Margaret Wanjiru's challenge. Watu sasa wanajipost wakiwa na picture wamelala in different positions just to, that challenge already is on. What do you make of it?
The challenge or the scenario, the whole scenario.
Everything about it is interesting.
Yeah, it's a comedy. I mean, it's good to be in Kenya now. I think it is good to. We are enjoying the headlines. Every
Mm.
time I wake up, there is a big headline in the newspapers that is showing Kenyans what we elected or what we think is the best we can provide for Kenya. Wanjiro has laid the bed. When you lay the bed, what
Mm-hmm.
do? You
You
sleep
lie
in
on
it.
it.
You lie in it. So that is what is exactly
Mm.
happening. And from my good position where I sit, I am enjoying every bit of the movie. I've just tweeted Benny Hinn after saying he was invited by the president of Kenya, and I gave him a very long story there that in his Twitter, or let me we call it X nowadays. I'm shocked that he doesn't have the discerning spirit, because the person who invited him is one of the most corrupt individuals in Africa. He didn't see that in the spirit. He didn't see the land grabbing. He didn't see the mismanagement and corruption. So we are living in interesting times, Jakes, and I don't know which position, because so many a times I listen to us here trying to tell Ruto on what he should do. Huh? You should not pass finance bill. Yeah, you should not do this. You should not take people to Haiti. I tell Ruto, take people to Haiti, bwana. Wacha waende, even if there is a brother or a sister, wacha waende Haiti, because that is the only thing that can make Kenya learn that we have a lunatic at the helm. So Ruto apeleke watu Haiti, I support 100%. Ruto agrab hizo, achukue hizo mashamba zote za kina Wanjiru, afanye chochote, abakie tu yake, kwa sababu yake unajua yeye ni immune, ako na immunity. Let him do whatever
Mm.
he can possibly do, and we enjoy the episode. I think now, if it was an Afro cinema, now we are on episode 7. Yeah, Rutomic and bottom up movie. And bado tujaenda second year, where you see, I was telling the other guy, there's some guys some time back when they were telling me that Ruto has stabilized the economy and the cost of food is going down. I told them the other name of inflation is food. And when there is enough rain in the country and the cost of food goes down, that tells you that inflation itakuwa chini. Why? Because the only thing that has helped Kenya Kwanza today, yeah, is the fact that there have been enough rain. But I can assure you, kama hakungekuwa na mvua, we could be talking another story today. And therefore, Jakes, when you ask me, the whole vipindi of this lady called Wanjiru, I'm enjoying, because these are the people who preach to us that this is a man of God. This is going to take us to heaven. The revival is going to come through him, and we are seeing the opposite. Kwa hivyo tujigange, tujikarange, tukae tukarangwe bana.
Um, this is the government that said it will not do what Uhuru was doing. That is demolish people's houses or evacuate people. In fact, they were saying watu walibomolewa nyumba wakati wa COVID, wengine wakabomolewa usiku. And Shong was quite using that quite often. Now it's happening. What's the difference between them now and Uhuru then?
uh, I think the difference is the same.
Mm-hmm.
And wacha watu wabomolewe. Sijui kwa nini tunakasirika. Wacha watu wabomolewe bwana. Mi nataka watu wabomolewe manyumba, wafukuzwe mashamba. Nataka watu wakatwe mishahara. Mimi niko pande ya mheshimiwa. Niko upande ya mheshimiwa Ruto, abomoe, afanye vituko zote. Hakuna vile tunge ati tunataka rais, at the same time tunamwambia asifanye kile kiko na akili yake imefika hapo. Lazima afanye kile kitu ambao mlimwambia afanye. Hiyo akate levy, akate kila kitu, alafu ndio watu wasome na wajue ya kwamba this is not a government. This is a these are comedians. Is a Juha Karuru government. But on the other hand, I want to tell the Kenyan people, we have an opportunity of a lifetime. Now that Raila is not on the table, now that the people, to the mind of Ruto, for those who believe he is wiser than everybody else in this country, they think that the only problem Ruto had in 2027 is Raila Amolo Odinga. So they are going to make sure that he gets the position of the AU so that there is it's a smooth sailing for UDA. But I see it differently. I'm thinking Kenyans have an opportunity to elect people who have never been in government, who have never been in the storybooks that we hear of history, because this is the only opportunity we have. Because at the end of the day, this country must change. And for it to change, it cannot be changed by the people who cannot change. These people cannot change, and they can never change a country. I tell people, as much as I want this country to succeed, it will be a very bad story to tell our children if it succeeds with very corrupt people like the president. Because it will show that the next generation, that is why I even saw an article somewhere. Somebody saying that Kenya is where the devil resides. And a researcher. And he was saying that because of the things he found here, or the thing he saw in Kenya. The reason why I'm saying I would wish not Ruto to succeed in this government is because I'm concerned of a message that will be taught to the generation to come. That we are people who reward criminals. We are people who enjoy when we are being led by very corrupt leaders. And that is why I'm saying we should cut the line and say, ndio Kenya is succeed, lakini isi succeed ikuwa katika mikono ya wachawi, ya watu wafisadi. Is succeed kwa mikono ya watu wasafi ambao wamewin Nobel Peace Prizes, watu ambao wamejinyima maishani ili watu wapate. That is a very good story to tell. Inakuanga story mzuri sana. Lakini ukituambia ati yule anabomoa nyumba, pia aliiba shamba fulani hapo Ng'ang'ata na Weston, ameiba ingine Naivasha, ameiba ingine Taita Taveta, alafu unatuambia ati tunapigana na ufisadi maana ako na kesi. Yani mimi ninaonanga hiyo, naona kama naota. It's like I'm dreaming. How can the corrupt fight the corrupt? How can a thief catch another thief? So it is a myriad of problems, my brother. And we are here because there are some people who don't listen. There are people who believe that the only problem they have in this country, it is this tribe and this tribe, but they forget that we are all suffering together. It is a nice time to be in Kenya today, because what we are seeing is what we saw. Yeah, because you cannot plant a banana and harvest a mango. If you plant corruption, the only thing you can harvest is corruption. And that is where we are at the moment. There's a lot of manipulation, and it is what it is, bro. Naona ulisema leo tuwe na lunch time meeting. Unajua hii ya lunch time ingekuwa tu nini? Ingekuwa ile wakati nilikuwa nafanya kazi ya ofisi. kulikuwa na lunch hour nini neno la Mungu, ingeweka iwe neno la kuhusu encourage watu waendelee kumsifu Bwana, kwa sababu maisha ambayo tunaishi, we need more of God.
Um,
Yeah.
this one has come because tumekuwa na challenge kidogo ambao tumesort out, so I had to do a test run. Naona everything is now working quite okay, and we are now good because we were having some issues in the studio, but now we are doing quite fine. But let me ask you, Mr. Jiven, as we go on, each government comes with a narrative. In 2013 it was ni masaa ya vijana, and the digital thing came into play. We must come out of the old issues and bring in new tact to bring forth revolution and bring forth new change of working. New changes in how we work, in how we do things, and Uhuru akakam through. Time ya Kibaki the same. 2017 ikakwasa ni kazi iendelee. They spoke of wameanza miradi, wamefanya last mile, wamefanya so many things during those 5 years they were in power. Of course wakapewa nafasi ingine. 2022 ikakuwa ni wakati wa bottom up, wakati wa kutoa mwananchi yule ako chini akuje juu. If kuna narrative ambayo imekuwa the biggest disappointment, ilikuwa hiyo ya kuanzia chini kwenda juu na kuweka pesa mfukoni. Mwananchi ataambiwa nini when it comes to 2022? Because alichoambiwa in 2027, alipoambiwa in 2022 imekuwa ni uongo mtupu, au rather imekuwa ni hekaya za bunwasi. Sasa how else will William Ruto ever come to mwananchi? Hata kama atatoa, as you have rightfully said, hata kama atampeleka Raila Odinga ambaye wana perceive ndio the only candidate anaweza watoa ama kuangamua kitini, what do they tell mwananchi?
The only chance Ruto has to win 2027 is for there to be a very weak candidate, and he's really working hard on that. He better ahonge all the 54 presidents in Africa, if that is what he's going to call, for him to retain that seat. Kwa sababu nilimwona juzi akisema kwa crusade ya kwamba yeye aliona maono ya kuwa rais. Na kwa haya na sikuelewa kwa nini aliona maono ya kuwa rais na hakuona maono akiwa anatengeneza nchi, akiwa anasaidia wananchi akiwa rais. Yeye aliona vile yeye amefaidika, and therefore that tells you the kind of a character we have as a president. He's a selfish man, and the only thing that matters to him is to win an election. It is not the 300,000 kids who have not gone to school. It is not the people who are going hungry each and every day. It is not the roads that are killing people every day that Kipchumba Murkomen is saying that he has done research that the only road that does not cause accidents is a mud road because people go slowly. The reasoning you see in this leadership leaves a lot to be desired. But I am not a worried man, because what I know, and I am convinced beyond any reasonable doubt, you might have a grip of power. You might have the army also, as they were saying even before, the narrative of Mabwenyenye and the deep state. But God always have a way, because the moment that we never expected anything to happen, something can happen. I'm sure even God, wherever he is, he's not happy over this leadership. And it is not because they are not God fear. They are God fearing, but they are also very equally very immoral people. I think this is a government that is very good in public relation. I will say this: if you want people who want to look like they are so much into God, it is this government. People who are corrupt, it is this government. So the narrative that I'm expecting them to use come 2027, if they are going to be there, if God is not going to have saved us from this problem, It is akienda Nyanza na Raila sasa, hiyo ni AU. Si mmeona nimefanya baba kuwa rais ya Afrika hmm? Mimi nilifanya baba prime minister, sasa hii nimefanya yeye awe rais ya dunia mzima ya Afrika. Nyinyi hamwezi hata pia kura kidogo hapa ni hello. So it's going to be like that. Yeah.
So he will definitely use Raila Odinga's victory if he wins over the AUC as a campaign tool, which probably others would agree. But if there's something that many are forgetting is Raila Odinga was not on the ballot in 2002 when he defeated Moi. Just needed to endorse someone and marshal up every other person that he could, and the coming together of people of same purpose, with the same idea, with the same ideology, with the unity of purpose, it brought down the perceived ruling party that was to rule for 100 years. And Uhuru then was unable to defeat Mwai Kibaki. So Raila Odinga, despite him not being on the ballot paper in 2002, he actually mobilized many through his Kibaki Tosha and all that to defeat Uhuru Kenyatta. Don't you think he doesn't just need to be there? He doesn't have to be there. But if he endorses someone and gives him all the support that that person needs, is that not equally enough, all right, to cause a star that would seriously cause headache to William Ruto? Because the narrative they sell to the mountain that Raila is a witch doctor and all that won't sell. Most of the narrative they use will not work. So the candidate that probably will be the compromised candidate, don't you think that candidate can be a very strong candidate who can equally be even more stronger than what William Ruto anticipates that Raila would be?
Yeah, that's the truth of the matter. In fact, one thing I watch for is that any person who will be, and I mean any person who understands the way the government is failing on the ground, should know that any other president who is going to go against Ruto will have a very viable chance to win the presidency. But if you want to win 2027, I think it is important to understand that you have to start early. At the moment, I find the choices of Azimio very weak. I have nothing against Kalonzo Musyoka, but I think he's going to be a very weak president and a weak candidate against Ruto. For the obvious reason of the other day, I even saw him in Benny Hinn's crusade, and I was asking myself, yeah, is this good people to go be prayed for, because we are so religious in this country and overzealous. We know that everybody loves God. We are, in fact, breaking a record today. Jakes, for your information, Kenya has broken the record of the many churches per square 100 kilometers square. We have more than 3 million churches in Kenya. Bilioni tatu. Even if we say one church can hold 20 people, 20 times 3 million ni how many people? So you can imagine everybody, every corner you go in this country, there is a church and people are Christians. But the most ironical thing, we are also topping on the other side of corruption, of murder, and many other ill things. So the church effect to me does not work in Kenya. It's just something to help you maybe officiate a wedding and to be buried by a pastor, making you look good as you go to heaven. But the character of the people of Kenya has not been worked on with this thing. They are the same people who are giving rushwas on the roads. They are the same people.
Mhm.
So we have a problem with this thing called perception of religiosity. So my brother from Mukambani goes to Benihin while he knows very well that this is Benihin said this is a government sponsored crusade. These are paid up prayers. This is a prayer called by the government to sanitize their evils. And these are the best opportunity for you if you want to become the president of Kenya to go to the media and ask the government to to tell the people how much money did you use to transport that preacher here. How much did he go with when he even visited State House? Who, which vote was used to fund this preacher? And if that is not answered, then you say this is the hate of impunity. And so this is a guy we are expecting him to go against Ruto. I, I, I'm sorry to say this, but I don't think that is the day Kalonzo lost my vote. That is the day Kalonzo lost my vote for presidency. I cannot vote for that man. Anadhani nipigie Nguru, but I'm thinking Baba if he wants to save this country. But I don't think he also interested. I think amechoka pia. But I think we need a good team. In that team, if I was to pick, I'll pick Joho, Omtata, Ngiru, and then I pick Junet. I pick Babu Awino. I pick Kina Wairia, Kina Mada Karua. I put a team that is going to
Mhm.
shake because that is the only choices we have. But on the other hand, I'm praying God so hardly. Namuomba Mungu kwa sababu I'm also a religious man,
Mhm.
atupatie mtu ambaye hajawahi kuwa katika hii uongozi ili tukaweze
Mhm.
kuokoka. But if that is not gonna happen, then we need wakina Njoho there and wakina Omutata, watu radical,
Mhm.
watu ambao hawaogopi, wanaenda na ni sansani kama kama Mtata. Those are the things I would pray for.
Now, you have said you would support Ngilu. Hello? You have said Ngilu.
Yes.
Ngilu. Now,
Ngiru is a very good candidate if I was to be because she looks she has a history. She
uh-huh.
has fought Moi, she has done that. Mi nataka Ngiru president,
Mm.
assistant yake awe mtu kama Joho, cabinet wa finance awe mtu kama Mtata, naye mtu kama Martha Karua afanye justice. Tumalize hii game mapema.
Now, today, just barely a few hours ago, Ngilu was in a meeting, the G7 meeting. The seven female governors have created a caucus known as the G7. And in attendance was the President, William Ruto, and equally another person that was in that meeting was none other than Charity Ngilu. And there's something that she said that I'm about to play that maybe will interest you and our viewers to find out about her. She said something that was interesting. That one, that you have supported one Raila Odinga to get the AUC chairperson, usitusahau na sisi wengine, meaning she's willing to get a job. She wouldn't mind a job from the president kwa sababu huku nje si kuzuri bwana, she was convinced that anaweza achana na kiti cha what do you call it, cha ugavana as she was doing, and then atapata what do you call this, atapata maybe a cabinet position or a certain position in Raila's government. Unfortunately, that wasn't to be. Now Raila Odinga has something to do. She doesn't have something to do. So finally, she comes out to ask for the president to, yes, she agrees that Raila Odinga should be supported for AUC. But equally, pia she's making her own case that, you know what, pia mimi usinisahau. What do you make of such a request from her? SG? SG, are you there? All right, SG seems to have frozen, but even as he works on his end, I want us to listen to Charity Ngilu and what she said. Yes, SG, I see you're back. What do you make of her? SG, can you hear me?
Yes, pray. Lakini, yes, I think when you're in the presence, otherwise I would take to care in the presence of a president. I think you have to say something that will correlate with the move or with the trend. But doesn't necessarily mean that we know principles of Wakinangiru, you know. But I know kuna watu ambao hawezi compromise kama akina Mtata, they speak their mind. But majority of the people who goes to the president, they have to find a way of showing there is a lot of no tension. But I think he's a very good viable candidate to pick it for 2027. But those are the choices that I'm saying. If we were to do away with all of them, and we do away with the people who have been in politics for all those years, it can be a very good country. It can be an opportunity of fresh breath or fresh air. Because this crop of leaders in Kenya today, they are here, they are there, they are never serious as long as the interest is taken care of. But we have very specific people who can stand for the people. But I wish and pray there can be new people who have never been in politics to manage the affairs of this country. Yeah.
All right, let's listen into Charity Ngilu even as I near wrapping up in few minutes.
Okay, so.
Vavinya, Ndeti, Machakos, Your Excellencies, Kawira, Mangaza, Meru, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Today is a great day for us as the women of Kenya. And really, I want to first thank Your Excellency for gracing this occasion. Being here shows how much you support the women of Kenya and how far you want them to go. For us women, when we are supported this way, we really got to take this with both hands and to make sure that this G7 that has started today and strategy being launched today can go a long way in increasing the number of women in leadership in this country. When you work with the women, as Governor Sakaja has said, if you work with half in the field, half the team, you can achieve as much as you should achieve. So women need to be involved in every sphere of development. And I want to ask Your Excellency Anne Waiguru, we are talking about increasing the numbers to 16, but may I ask that we should increase the numbers to 25, if not 47, having women governors in the 47 counties will really help the president to go forward. And indeed, let's start looking at the government itself, making sure that whoever president will be there will get 50% of his cabinet or her cabinet to be women. We must not be apologetic to what we want. And I want to assure you, Your Excellency, by the way, if you have more women in leadership, they'll help you carry a lot of the work that you are doing. They help you, and very well indeed. You'll be freer than you are today. Women, I think there is something I want to say here about politics. Something is worrying me very much. We women have seen here that we are going to make sure that we will work across political divide. All parties, we as women must come together and ensure that whatever party you are in will support you where you are. What for me has shocked me in the last few days is a new handshake, Your Excellency. And I thank you for supporting Baba to become the AU chair. But you cannot take him alone. He has many other people with him. He had many, many people with him. And I still need to understand, and I'll study this a little bit to understand how this works amongst male leadership. Women don't do that. Since I haven't known how it works, I'll continue to learn how it works. For us right now today, we must make sure we increase the number of women. We go to the grassroots. Let's not leave it at the governor's level. We'll go to the grassroots level. We'll increase the number of women who are there. We'll identify them. We'll make sure that they are trained, they have got skills. We'll build confidence in them and ensure that we know the wards they are going to run. Increase the number of MCS. Increase the number of women members of parliament. Increase the number of women governors. Increase the number of all women in their places. And of course, the final seat is the presidential seat. Don't run away from it. Women want it like yesterday. So, Your Excellency, the best you can now do, and I want to ask this for the women in office and out of the office, please help these women to mobilize resources to get to the villages and to ensure that women can be empowered enough. I want to say that I didn't know I was going to be asked to speak, but I'm happy you have given me an opportunity to say something. Governor Sakaja, Nairobi ni yako, lakini sioni wanawake vizuri hapa Nairobi. Tafadhali weka wanawake tuwaone. You cannot talk about he for she and we are not seeing it. You must walk the talk. And I'll be on your case. Your Excellency, and Anne Waiguru, please, Governor, be on the President's case and make sure that we keep him on his toes to ensure that we have the numbers. I want to thank you very much for inviting me to say a few words. Please, women, young women, governors, shine and
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, with that, we come to the end of this show. It wasn't really to be this long. We were testing out some things, and we can now attest that it's now working. We are back. Tukutane jioni mida ya saa 4 usiku. Tutakuwa na show moja fiti, show moja murwa. We are ready. We are now ready for you. We are ready to give you nothing but the very best. This is Kenya Newslink. Consider subscribing and being part of these great conversations that happens here at Kenya Newslink. Subscribe to Pate Hapo YouTube. Subscribe to Pate Hapo Facebook to follow. Be part of this new and great channel that is really seriously causing some people to have some interesting headache kwa sababu hii channel ni ile channel ya wanga. Hakikisha umesubscribe to Kenya Newslink. Subscribe kuwa part of this great family ambayo inakuwa kwa kasi mno hapo kwa YouTube na pia hapo kwa Facebook. To follow kwa Twitter, to follow kwa TikTok, tuko kila platform including LinkedIn, unatupata kule ndani, na very soon tutakuwa na interesting conversations happening hapa kwa Kenya Newslink, na equally tutakuwa na videos ambazo zitakupendeza na kukufurahisha hapo ndani. Kimbia huko ndani, subscribe, kuwa miongoni mwa wale ambao wanajikuta hapa na wanajipata wakiwa na content murwa. Hapa Kenya Newslink ndipo tu unapata burudani kama hii. Asante sana. Wacha tuwe na show nyingine mida ya saa 4 usiku leo hapa nchini Kenya, na pia wale wako ulimwenguni kote mtatukuta hapa Newslink, okay? Hapa ndipo, hapa ndipo home for Kenyans content and all forms of content. Tukutane jioni. Asante sana. God bless you. Have a fantastic day.
Tunasonga mbele watu wote wa Jamhuri Kenya yetu. Tunasonga mbele watu wote wa Jamhuri Kenya yetu. Haya sisi sote wananchi tushangilie. Kwa Jamhuri, kwa Jamhuri, kwa Jamhuri Kenya yetu yaenda mbele. Kwa Jamhuri, kwa Jamhuri, kwa Jamhuri Kenya yetu yaenda mbele. Mwaka wa 60 umefika, tangu Kenya iwe huru. Mwaka wa 60 umefika, tangu Kenya iwe huru. Haya sisi sote wananchi tushangilie.
Kenya na Uganda, Kenya na Tanzania.